Good evening, everyone. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarding to the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Meeting details and the draft agenda were also posted on our township website. Please stand to salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Cohen.
Here.
Mr. Cosgrove.
Here.
Mr. Sacramandi.
Here.
Mr. Stoller. Mayor Romano.
Here.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? May I have a motion to approve the March 18th, 2025 Township Committee minutes?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. May I have a motion to approve the March 18th, 2025 Special Township Committee minutes?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, reports. Committeeman Stoller, do you want to start?
Sure. Okay. Fishing Derby, the Recreation Committee, Fishing Derby registration is open and taking place Saturday, April 26th at Taylor Park. Always very, very well enjoyed by the public and our kids. They are looking for volunteers, so anybody wants to volunteer, let the Rec Committee, Chris Myers, know. Milburn Earth Day event will take place this weekend as well, Sunday, April 27th at the Bauer Community Center. And the pool is scheduled to open Saturday, May 24th. Special Improvement District. I'd like to announce that we did win a $150,000 grant to improve the sidewalks on Milburn Avenue between Main Street and Lackawanna. I know we were all anticipating it went out, but we did win it. So big shout out to those guys, to Explore and Special Improvement District. They were actually just down at a seminar for Main Street America. It's a national conference in I believe Philly. Was it Philly? And then Girls Night Out is scheduled for June 5th. If anyone's interested in participating, they can reach out to Amanda or Steve. BOE Liaison Committee, or Liaison. Okay, big updates here coming fast and furious. We hired 4 principals for the elementary school, and 3 of them are internal and 1 is external. Just quickly, Deerfield School, Michael Mongan was moving from his position inside Wyoming Schools to become new Deerfield principal. Glenwood School, Kerry Emanaldis, he's currently from the Washington School, will be taking the helm at Glenwood. Hartshorn, Dr. Michelle Malucci, she's currently from Ridgewood. That's the external one. She's a middle school assistant principal in Ridgewood today. And then South Mountain, Heather Fiery, South Mountain's supervisor, will become South Mountain's new principal. Now we're moving on to the middle school principal. Dr. Jill Sack will actually be the interim, continue as interim this coming up as they for the 2026 as they look at other candidates. And then the high school principal, no decisions there. They did approve the hiring of the search firm SEA to help facilitate that search for the high school. What else we got? Joint Fields, no update. Mountain Valley Emergency Center, no update. Flood mitigation, confirmation that the 3 elevated homes will continue and be paid for. So that's going to start. And then what else we got? Affordable housing deferred to our council. And then just on a other note, if you haven't seen Take the Lead, the new show at the Paper Mill, it's fantastic. Very, very good show. It's about a ballroom instructor who started teaching ballroom dancing up in the Bronx, and that'll probably make its way to Broadway at some point. That's it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Sure. Couple of things, since the last TC meeting, the planning board met, continuing its discussion on the Phi Center. I think coming out of the last meeting, well, obviously there are various disagreements. One thing that was agreed to is that they will be taking more borings on the site to get a better assessment of the water table. The Arboretum, we met to review some of the things that came out of the strategic plan and trying to put some of those goals into practice. The master plan element of the housing committee also met, and for there, we're working to digest the latest numbers coming for round 4. Lastly, I was privileged to attend the Eid celebration put on by the Muslims of Millburn Short Hills. It was a beautiful celebration, and it was really a good time. So that's my report.
Thank you. Committeeman Second.
Sure. The Citizens Affordable Housing Committee is going to be having a public session in person here at Town. Sorry. The Citizen Affordable Housing Committee will be having a public session in person here at Town Hall on Thursday, the 24th. So that's next Thursday. We will have our municipal planner and our municipal attorney present to talk about the 4th round of affordable housing. We will not have a Zoom option for that meeting. Since we're moving and weren't able to accommodate that. For the EC, we're going to be having a Earth Day celebration in Taylor Park on Sunday, April 27th. There's going to be various education stations to learn how to embrace sustainable living habits. And there's also going to be a chance to take home free giveaways like a skeeter stopper kit to the first 50 families that visit. There'll also be handouts of some native plants and seeds. And the High School Environmental Club will be hosting a sustainable thrift shop. So I encourage all of you to attend. That'll be April 27th from 12 to 3 p.m. in Teller Park. Thanks.
Committeeman Cosgrove.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Historic Preservation Commission had their meeting, everything went smooth. The most interesting thing coming up is going to be on new business, item 1 regarding historical. So we'll talk about that later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Art Advisory Committee has announced their 2025 AP Art Scholarship winners, 11 students. This is their 19th year of granting these awards. Sorry. The Art Advisory Committee reviews all AP high school students. They examine their work for 2 years to see their progress, and then they present the awards every year. The awards are generous gifts of significant art supplies and internships from Alan Shep's Jerry Artist Outlet in West Orange. They will be hosting their reception on May 20th at the library, which I believe is a meeting night, right? Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, their poster contest is ending on April 21st. Winners will be announced on May 1st. They will be awarding $25 gift cards to local merchants. We had the committee was in person for our last meeting. We had a nice crowd of public comment that came in person. A lot of issues came up with the Chatham Road, the Short Hills train station, overall drivers, pedestrians, bicyclists, a lot of the stuff that we talked about earlier in the school year. So a lot of things that did come up. I know that Mr. McDonald has already addressed with the police department. They've already gone over to Chatham Road to take a look again. And then some streetlights that were out came up at the meeting. That, just as a reminder, if you do see a street light out, to report it on the portal, because chances are no one's going to really know about it unless it's reported to through the portal. The Tour de Millburn is scheduled for September 7th. Their Click It or Ticket campaign is going on now, and the next meeting of Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board is on June 9th. And this is our last Township Committee meeting here. Just so you're aware, the next meeting will be May 6th. It will be at the East Willow Street location. No? Oh, geez, I'm sorry. The Milburn Education Center, I'm sorry. And just a reminder, Town Hall's closed tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, and we'll be in the new facility in East Willow on Monday. And I think that's it. Mr. Camden.
I have no report to there.
Mr. Nadani.
A few reports. One is just a update with the PSC and G work as it relates to Main Street. It was originally scheduled for this week. However, it was pushed back due to several days of rain and the company getting here for PSC and G. So next week, Main Street will be milled and paved at night. The times for that work is 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. And it will take a few days for milling and a few days for paving, but should be completed within the week, next week. Reminder that the budget meeting is next week on April 22nd, which is Tuesday at 7:30 here in Town Hall. Just to be clear, while we are moving out, we have about a week and a half that we still have the building before the environmental work starts here. So we're going to utilize this space just to be sure that we have the space, for people that want to attend. So that's why these two meetings, the Citizen Advisory Committee and the budget meeting, will be here at Town Hall. So don't get confused. You're seeing us moving, but we're also going to be able to utilize this space. So just an update, as the mayor had mentioned, Town Hall is closed tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. On Friday, from approximately 2 p.m. on Thursday to midday on Friday, our phones will be down. We will be putting out a message and through social media, through the website, as well as the phone message itself. We'll tell people that if you have a concern or something that you want to report, we just advise you to do that through the SDL portal. We actually made sure to set up that server first and make sure it was up and running so that when we did this transition, people could report things. But again, just ask for everybody's patience as we're going through this move and this process. 22 East Willow will be our temporary location starting on Monday, April 21st. The environmental work, the remediation of this building, asbestos and lead and whatever other materials I guess they end up finding will be started at the end of April. That contract is on for the Township Committee's consideration tonight. And just by way of update on the building itself and the design, the township presented the design before the Historic Preservation Commission at their last meeting. We received several comments and recommendations and considerations from the Historic Preservation Commission. So today I actually met with the architect and the historic preservation consultant and the township's historic preservation consultant and wanted to address some of those concerns and comments prior to this the design going to the planning board on May 7th for a capital review, which is a review of the project to ensure that it's consistent with the master plan. But I'm happy to report that I think that process was really actually fruitful, and many, if not all, of the recommendations and suggestions are being incorporated into the design from the Historic Preservation Commission. The police department study, I know, was asked at the last meeting whether it would be a public portion. We were able to meet with them earlier this week. There will be a public portion. They're just I think sometime in May we'll get together with the community. We'll go through the report. They're working on a comparative study. They just received a few comparative questionnaires from communities that they want to incorporate into the report. So we will. I think we'll have an opportunity where we can sit down with the community, with the police department, with the consultant, and discuss all of that. But we'll try to schedule that for May sometime. Tree work is being done on Milburn Avenue this week. It starts tomorrow. We're planting 28 trees, and I'm happy to report that our forester is she works very hard and also secured us a $20,000 grant for the tree inventory work that's being done by Davey Tree Experts. So happy to report that. And lastly, just to touch on a few things regarding flood mitigation as well as PSAP. The Ridgewood drainage project with Ridgewood and Greenwood is out to bid, and we'll be receiving bids next week. So that work will be forthcoming and before the Township Committee for consideration. We also had a kickoff meeting for the Van Winkle study, which included the Cora Hartshorn Arboretum as a part of that process. Unfortunately, we did make an attempt to apply for a BRIC grant for a study of the South Mountain Reservation, but that program has been eliminated at this point. So we were hoping to be able to get some study for larger flood mitigation efforts within the South Mountain Reservation, but at this point that will be put on hold. And lastly, as it relates to the PSAB, I don't know if the mayor had seen the email. I don't think you were copied on it, but that poster contest is being pushed out to April 25th. So just so everybody's clear, there'll be some additional time. I think the individual, Mayor Epstein, who's running that, felt with spring break in there, she wanted to provide some additional time. So just wanted to update you on that. All right, thank you.
And just one update to I want to mention that the plant for pollinators sale at greatswamp.org/native-plant-sale is going on live right now. It ends on the 18th. So if you're looking for pollinators and you want to get them in your yard, now's the time to go shop.
The date for flood mitigations of next month, what's that date?
The hurricane preparedness meeting will be on May 15th. That's a Thursday. And we'll be holding that in the fire department headquarters training.
More information to follow. Okay, public comment. When invited to speak to offer your comments, please come to the lectern and clearly state your name and whether you are a Millburn resident and or property or business owner. Please do not provide your full address, seeing our meetings are recorded and readily available to the public. For the convenience of our community, there's a remote option. If you called in and would like to comment, please press *6 now. If you are attending by computer or electronic device, please click the raise hand button and be sure your video is on when you comment. All members of the public wishing to speak will be put into the queue to address the committee. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers shall limit their comments to 1 3-minute session. You will be prompted when there's 30 seconds remaining. A reminder, this is not a time for dialogue or to debate a matter, and this is a time during our business meeting for the public to offer comments. I will now open public comment.
Hello, Renee Paparian, resident. Following up on what Ben just said and what Frank said earlier, I just want everyone to know, and I'm going to ask everyone up here, if you would, and I think that Ben probably has, gone to the Great Swamp Native Plant Sale. And I just want to read you, it ends this Friday at 5 p.m. And this is what came in from the Great Swamp, that they want to shine a spotlight on the unfavorably named boneset, helmet skullcap, and sneezeweed, because these plants are still available in abundance, unlike many others. And there are a total of 21 individual species still available, although 6 of them are nearly sold out. And also there's a significant number of 2 kits still available, the Moist Sun and Rain Garden kits. So the boneset is a profusion of white flowers, deer resistant. Helmet skullcap is a short, easy to grow, deer resistant purple blossoms. And sneezeweed is also known as helenium, so let's just call it that. And it's a daisy-like flower. So I'm going to ask all of you how your native plants are doing in a few weeks. The pickup date is very convenient. It's at Giro Park. It's going to be Sunday, March 4th. It'll be from 9 to 12.
May 4th.
Oh, May. Did I say, what did I say? March? Oh, God. All right. No, that's done and over with. Yes, May. And, oh, yes. So come get your plants. And the Great Swamp, if you don't know a lot about the plants, and some people have reached out to me, there is an amazing amount of native plant information available on the Great Swamp Watershed Association Native Plant Sale site. So buy up the boneset, the helmet skullcap, and the sneezeweed, and I'll give you some milkweed from my own yard. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I'd love to address you, but I have a severe disability and it would be easier for me to go last if that's possible.
Of course, of course.
Okay. All right.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld. I live in the Poets section for more than 32 years. As my custom, I sent various questions and an email to you. And I'm surprised that we didn't get some responses, but I thank you for clarifying where we will be meeting for the two meetings that's in Town Hall. At the last meeting, you said that there would be a resolution approving the settlement of round 4. That was set forth in the mediator's recommendation to Judge Russo, and I'm just wondering why there is a resolution approving the settlement for the round 4 with the Builders Association. As to the tree planting trust fund resolution, this goes back to the basic premise of when you use a resolution versus an ordinance. Since this is going to be creating a trust fund, it's going to last more than 1 year. I'm just questioning why we're not doing it by ordinance rather than resolution. There's various paper mill, playhouse, carriage, bid rejection resolutions. And the reason is that the cost, we underestimated the cost. And the question is, who created the pricing? Why was there such great variance? And most of these bids relate not to the parking lot, but for the expansion and renovation of the restaurant. And there's always a question that I and other citizens have had is, why are we using taxpayer dollars to renovate a restaurant? And are we ever going to, based on the amended lease, are we ever going to recoup those monies? I don't believe we are. Again, updated questions. What is the status of the 9 Main Street long-term exemption? What is the status of the township's request to postpone a mandatory townwide taxes reassessment? I'm really surprised that there wasn't a little bit more of a report of the court hearing that we had a week ago Monday regarding the validity of the SID, where the judge, did hear oral arguments. She did not take oral testimony, and she said she would reserve decision, and she would be probably issuing an opinion within 30 days of the argument. I recommend, as I said before, that you get a copy of the transcript of the hearing and you share it with the public, because certain things were said during that hearing that might shock the public. I will speak later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Pasternak, resident. I want to thank Alex for his update on the town hall renovation. I guess it came to my attention that, I know there was an open public meeting, but there are a couple of things that I heard that I were a bit concerned about, which is it's a $14 million project. There was some information shared with the public, but not any detail. I mean, this is like the center of our town. This is like where we, would focus the attention for people who live here as well as visit here. So I think it would be really helpful to have a bit more detail and understanding of how the project is going, what it looks like. Some detailed construction plans would be helpful for people to see. Maybe you have shared them, but I think some people would like to see those. So anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll go online first and then. Good evening.
Hi, guys. Can you see me okay? Sorry,
Yes.
I'm just gonna put my phone down so I can just.
I'm gonna pull over, so I didn't know how quickly you were gonna go, so I'm just gonna pull over on this parking lot, so I know I'm eating up my time, and that's okay. So I wanted to further to Jean's comment. I'm really dismayed about the $14 million spend that's going on with the town hall, and I had heard some comments just briefly, I was not in the HPC meeting because I was traveling, and I think it was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. There were a lot of like supersizing of employees' offices and, you know, undersizing of critical spaces. The facade was not in keeping with the township's identity, heritage, and sort of prominence and you know, and architectural significance that would be related to the town. And I think there were some HPC members that might have been disappointed, and I'm sure had I seen what was discussed, I might have been disappointed. I'm actually surprised that so little consideration when, you know, you're spending so much time with the facade of a small park and inviting the public in, and, you know, to not run that by the HPC. And what I'm starting to see is sort of a pattern here. And, you know, Alex, I think it's great that you're managing it, but from maybe a project management perspective, but giving architectural direction, you know, from somebody in operations, I think that's just something that should be coming from somebody else. And that's why we continue to have these problems with architecture in our town. And I hope it stops here. I hope that there's going to be a revow on that. I also wanted to talk about the High Center. I was not in last week's meeting, so thank you so much for the recap. But I do have some concerns with the fact that we pay employees in our town to be present at critical meetings, and that's a critical development. That is a development that is going into a residential area. And, you know, the fact that I never saw a Forester present, and I've been to every single meeting except for the last one, at any of the meetings, I might be might be slightly incorrect, but I'm pretty sure there was no Forester present when, with all those trees coming down. And in addition to that, the engineers were present sometimes, and you know, during a critical engineering presentation by an objector's witness, you know, where was Martha, and why couldn't her assistant, who is a very talented engineer, Christine Bugle, why was she not there? I mean, these are critical meetings. Like, so, and I do also want to call out, I'm getting very concerned with Mr. Peto's
Thank you, I'm sorry. Your time's up.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks, Annette.
Thank you.
Evening, Jerry Kung, Short Hills resident. Apologies if I'm going to be a little scatterbrained because I didn't intend to make a comment tonight, but I was slipping through the agenda and I saw resolution 25-113 rejecting bids received for paper mill playhouse, carriage house renovation site work. So, and I apologize if there's another resolution that I didn't see, but I saw, whereas Nordic's proposal was 53% over the township engineer's estimate, and this got me thinking, the original cost of the paper mill work, I think the total cost of the project was $40 million, and then at some point it went up to 43 million. Were those estimates based off of the township engineer's cost estimates? Because if there's going to be individual pieces that are 50% over, the next resolution, I think there was something that was 35% over. Are you going to look at 35% to 50% overages of the total $43 million project? Is that going to get us to 50 to 60 million? What does that mean if the fundraising doesn't get all the way there? If the costs, I'm just curious because from a project management perspective, I just want to make sure stuff doesn't get torn down and then we realize there's not enough money to put stuff back up. So, you know, given that we're spending a lot of money, the town's chipped in $7 million. I just want to make sure that this money is getting spent, you know, with some amount of oversight and supervision for the construction process so that, you know, the estimates are in line with what we expected and that this doesn't, you know, become a gigantic, you know, hole. So thank you. And apologies if I'm frazzled and, you know, not prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, if you'd like to.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor and the town committee for your time and for your service for your community. My name is Michael Colnut. I live in Franklin Lakes. I am a landscaper, actually an organic land care landscaper, but I have electric and a gas service company. No, that's okay. I just wanted to
Thanks.
remind you that it's a blower restriction, it's not a ban. You know, you've done a great job of protecting the landscape community by letting them keep those spring and fall cleanups is where you really need the heavy equipment and two-cycle equipment. And in the summer, you know, for blowing a few leaves off the sidewalk or whatever, for my experience, the electric has done a fantastic job. I'm just gonna volunteer a little time to the Green Day, is that what you call it? To bring a couple of the electric blowers and the charging equipment and compare it to a gas blower, just so people can see, and a little bit of information. Like I know it's been debated here so much, the environmental stats of that pollution. I'll have actual facts and statistics and backed up, you know, data and sources there for everyone. So it's not, you know, it's not a kind of argument thing. Just quickly, I wanted to say it's not a liability for your community, but it's really an opportunity. It's an opportunity for clean air. I mean, I'm doing so much work in Montclair, South Orange, Maplewood, because people are just embracing this low technology. And you know, new people moving into the town love to hear about clean air and sustainable solutions. And one last thing, being the ordinance is not going in, I know it would be passed in January, but not till the following June. There's agencies all over the whole country, like American Green Zone Alliance, Quiet Communities, that is willing to come into your community, educate all the landscapers, anyone who's interested, how to make money at this so it's not a financial burden for them, and to teach them the basics to get more sustainable in their businesses. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna just go out, it'd be easier. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, I will now close public comments. Committeeman Second Mandy, would you like to start?
Jared, maybe you could let us know what the deal is with the round 4 settlement agreement number. I know that we discussed it. Do we have to take formal action, or did the judge just order that as passed?
So, I can do
Yeah.
it. So the answer, so yes, the answer to question to both is yes. So they would like us to enter into a formal settlement agreement. I reached out to the Builders Association's council. They haven't provided us with a settlement agreement yet. Once they do, we're certainly obligated to adopt it. But I can tell you that the judge did enter an order on April 7th. And within that order, it provides for our prospective need at 533, which is the number we settled on. It also orders us to move forward without delay. So I don't really know what else that settlement is going to accomplish. I think before this order was entered, there was some sort of, we thought there was gonna be some sort of governing body mechanism to solidify that 533, but we have a court order in place that orders us to move on to the next phase and provides us with continued immunity. So I'm not sure what the builders are doing with their settlement agreements, but I have reached out and they say one's coming. So once one does, we certainly can bring it up and adopt
But
it.
technically, we don't even need to
No, I
do
don't,
that at this point.
correct, yeah.
The order's already in. Great. Ms. Pasternak, I appreciate your comments about the concerns about the design of the town hall building. I only recently found out myself that the design had changed. I would say quite a bit from what we had all seen in the past. So I do think there should be further discussion. I have been in touch with Mr. McDonald on that, and I will follow up with him again to see where we're at with getting those plans to the public. It sounds like there's going to be more revisions based on the meetings that were had today. So, you know, maybe we allow a little bit of time, not much, but a little bit of time to have the architects take that feedback and then put something out, and then maybe we can, get further feedback from there if necessary. Dr. Kung, thank you for bringing up the paper mill spend. I too am concerned about what this will do to the overall number. Anytime we start to see all of these contracts come in, substantially higher than we thought they were going to be, that seems to set off alarm bells in my mind about what the cost of the overall project is going to be. What I want to make sure of is that the paper mill is not going to come back to the township with their handout saying, well, we fell short and, we need you guys to help cover us, because we're halfway through the construction or whatever. So I do think we need to have some conversations with the paper mill to find out what their plan is. That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Committeeman Cosgrove, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I'll continue actually a little on what Frank said about the contracts on the paper mill. So when you look at the agenda tonight, the first half dozen are ones that are being rejected. The ones that I want to talk about really, which were touched upon, are the last few that are being, accepted tonight. And it's a criticism I've made before about the way this is being structured, even though the vote's already been done on the before my time, which is by the town contracting with these contractors to do this work. We're putting ourselves, the town, right in the middle of any contractual dispute, right in the middle of any cost overrun, and right in the middle, which is not uncommon, of extras, meaning they start to demolish something, they find a condition no one expected, and we're put right in the middle of this. And that's one of my complaints or criticisms of how it's been structured. Put aside the money we're spending, but the way it's been structured instead of the paper mill entering into these contracts and the paper mill taking the risk on of everything that could happen at that site. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Excuse me, I thought you were gonna go to Ben first.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I don't have much to add. Obviously, of course, everyone's concerned about, it was eye-popping to see bids rejected and then new ones. But I will point out for the concrete work, there was a rejected bid and then an accepted bid later on for, I don't have it in front of me to see, but it was about half what it was bid originally. So, that's what happens. It doesn't mean, to me, if there are overruns, it doesn't mean you're gonna give any more than the $7 million. We're not committed to do that, and I don't think that's where this is gonna head. Of course, by the time that happens, there could be, who knows who'll be on the township committee, but I don't see that happen.
Thank you. Committeeman Stoller.
Sure, and I also echo that, it's imperative that we have good planning and oversight of any cost and overruns, underruns, et cetera. And as we discussed throughout the process, that we're hand in hand with the paper mill to make sure that these are, my understanding that it's structured the way it is due to municipal law. At least the Saturday I spent in the municipal training said it was municipal law in terms of how to set it up, et cetera. But good statements, Mr. Kung and such. I'll defer to Alex. I think it'd be, to Mr. Feltz or to Alex and to our attorney for comments to Mr. Feld. And then I'm a little dismayed too about what's been represented is that the architecture changed on the design of Town Hall. It's my understanding that this was the last rendition that we saw and that everything was done. I'm a little concerned if we've gone all this way to cutting the ribbon, moving out of here and going to Willow and such, and now we're revisiting this. So I'd just like you, Mr. McDonald, just to reiterate where we are in this process and why we're in this situation.
Mr. McDonald?
Sure. Just to go back to a few other things, the question related to the tax reassessment, So on April 3rd, the township's tax assessor presented before the Essex County Tax Board our desire to extend the reevaluation of the township to 2029. That was approved and accepted by Essex County Tax Board. And however, it has to go to the state for their review and approval as well. So that's where that currently sits right now. So just to quickly, and I'm going to provide some explanation and discussion on the paper mill items prior to those resolutions, which are not being considered under the consent agenda, but I'll provide some information for the public as well as the township committee as to that process and what all that is about. As it relates to town hall, so first and foremost, I think just to be completely understood, the town hall renovation was presented back in May of last year. And quite frankly, not at that time, the elevation of the front of the building, which I believe is the south elevation of the building, was not presented because it was going unchanged. It was not meant to change or be changed in any way. The east side elevation was not presented. And that is one of the ones that I think drew some concern or question, particularly from the HPC when we presented it. But the west side elevation, Town Hall Plaza, as well as the Essex Street, that was presented because that was dealing with the addition, which is the new committee room, which is also going to be the court chambers for the municipal court. And at that time, it showed sort of angled walls, sort of, like this. So the change that occurred was that those no longer became angled. They were more flat, and there was glass block, which was going to be what was in between the windows, I believe, in the original. But in general, it was more showing this west side elevation and how the separation between the original building was going to happen to the addition of the building. And what it is essentially a courtyard, much like you see across the street at Schoolhouse Plaza, which is a historic building attached to a newer building with a courtyard in between, and a sort of a brick building. This building would have a courtyard. I think it would be the main entrance, particularly for the committee room, and everything else. The doors on the front of the building, the doors on the side of the building, the east side elevation would all remain the same. With that being said, the reason for our immediate move is to make sure that we can deal with the environmental issues in the building currently. There is quite a lot of work to prepare this building, even for the interior renovation of the building. Doesn't have a lot to do with the exterior renovations of the building. And being able to, because that is about a 2-month process. And so we wanted to make sure, and I think I've explained this previously, we wanted to make sure that we were able to do that work. And then when Town Hall Plaza closed, we can enjoy Town Hall Plaza over the summer. The idea is the timing of this would be to start to go out to bid probably sometime in June for this particular building for a start after Labor Day of the actual construction. So we don't have construction documents at this point. What we have are the designs of the elevations that have been presented to the HPC. And now have been subsequently revised based on our conversations with the HPC consultant, Barton Ross, historic consultant, who provided the comments, quite honestly, at the meeting with the HPC, as well as some of the members on the HPC board. I think somebody mentioned a concern. I think Christine mentioned a concern about the interior office space. I think that what needs to be understood too is that, much like we're kind of talking about with the paper mill, we're doing a major renovation of a building that is going to serve the public for hopefully the next 100 years. And I understand that's part of the concern about, looking at the exterior, but the idea here is that we do not want to come back 5-10 years from now and say, hey, we're already out of room. We need more space. We need, to spend money on another addition or another space somewhere else. So we are planning for this to be have the ability to be used well into the future. Another comment that actually came up at the HPC, which was, HPC generally doesn't have the review of the interior of the building, but it was, we've provided an archive space on the second floor of Town Hall. And there was a comment that stated, well, why do you have so much space for archives? And, wouldn't it be better to store those archives off-site? And that's true. We do store a lot of our archives off-site, but there are also a lot of documents that we need immediate access to that we have to produce via Oprah, and storing things off-site also costs money. Getting those documents back from your archival company also costs money. So there are other factors that go into the operation of Town Hall and how we do things and what we need to do that play into also the interior design of the building. But getting back to the exterior of it a little bit, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be long-winded, but I want to provide a thorough explanation. So the next step in this process is that we go to the planning board. The planning board is meant to review the project as a capital project and whether it is consistent with the master plan. I think that there is also, the opportunity, certainly once we have this package that we are going to present to the planning board, that will be put up on the website, much like the packages that was presented to the Historic Preservation Commission is up on the Historic Preservation Commission page. We will put this information on the website for the public under the Town Hall renovation project page, which is under our projects, that everybody can view, that has the original information from what was presented before, as well as the slideshows that were presented, and I think a copy of the meeting of the meeting presentation. So and then we can sort of go from there, I think is the idea. But obviously we're getting pretty well baked in the process here. And we don't want to get into a point where too much inertia ends up costing additional money as a result of slowing down the process. And also I think making sure that we, do the best job of balancing, hearing what we, the concerns on the design, particularly the exterior, and what we can do to facilitate that. But I think people, particularly the HPC and perhaps other people, will be pleased with the changes that are being made as a result of that meeting and the comments by the HPC. But then again, later I will provide additional information on the paper mill and some of the questions and concerns that came up, particularly from the Township Committee members. I think that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cantor, do you have anything?
No, Mayor, nothing further.
The Township Committee will now consider consent agenda resolutions. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to any items listed on the consent agenda? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-104 through 25-111, which are listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Sakabandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Do you want to do this now?
Okay. So on tonight's agenda before the Township Committee are a series of resolutions rejecting an original bid on various trade types as it relates to the carriage house renovation at the Paper Mill Playhouse. In addition, there was a rebid, and then there is a award of some of those trades that were completed and fell within a range of a competitive bid, a responsible bid, and a bid within the engineer's estimate. So just to be clear, the township, from the very beginning of these discussions about the paper mill, obligated $7 million. That $7 million was going towards a few major buckets. One was the purchase of 20 Brookside, which was already completed and cost $1.8 million. In exact numbers, it was $1,807,791. The second big bucket is the bucket we're talking about tonight, which is the carriage house renovation, which is essentially the expansion of yes, the restaurant, but also creating a space on the second floor that will serve as a speaker series space, as a space that can be utilized by the township that was discussed in the original discussion on this funding. As well as a recreation of the historical facade that was the desire of the Historic Preservation Commission, as well as, you know, all of those involved, quite honestly, that wanted to make sure that that facade stayed as a postcard image of the Paper Mill campus. So on the other large buckets are parking lots B and C. As you're aware, those are the ones that are across the street from the Paper Mill Playhouse. And they have several retaining walls that are not functioning properly, creating ice and other hazards within the parking lots. There is an elevation issue with one of the parking lots, and there is, you know, these were bid out, and it was the desire of quite frankly the township to make sure that these issues were resolved properly, and that those parking lots were actually combined, and that the elevations were decreased so that they could be utilized more easily by those that have mobility issues, by those that are utilizing the campus. So that will be coming forward in the future, those bids that were received on parking lots B and C. Another bucket is the Rahway River retaining wall. And there was the groundwater mitigation of the campus, which is causing issues throughout the campus, particularly with the building. The orchestra pit in the building, you know, usually fills with water during heavy storms, things like that. But those were the things that were discussed as we were going through that. And all of those provided an estimate of what the township was sort of thinking that these would cost. 1.8 was the dollar amount on 20 Brookside. $2 million was the number that was quoted for the carriage house. $500,000 for parking lots B and C, $1 million for Rahway River retaining wall, and $500,000 for the groundwater mitigation. So at this point, given those contracts that are before the township committee tonight, as I stated, we've already spent the $1.8 million to purchase 20 Brookside, and the contracts for concrete, site work, structural steel, and masonry, which are involved in the construction of the historical facade and the carriage house itself, come to a total of $1.5 million. So we have a remaining balance of that obligation of $3,659,000. And so we're keeping track of this. We are involved in the process. We are going to be involved in the construction management, as well as the contract management. Obviously, these contracts are with the township, with these various trades that are going to be working on the carriage house. So again, there are several that are on the agenda for rejection, and then they were rebid, and then there are again, concrete, site work, structural steel, masonry that are on for approval based on the bid amounts coming back and being competitive and having a favorable pricing on those trades. I'm happy to answer any questions prior to consideration of the resolution.
So the number you quoted, that was the total from the 7 million, right? Right? If all of these resolutions are approved tonight, what's left for the carriage house?
For the carriage house, it's 1.5 less 2 so 2 million less 1.5, so about $500,000.
Okay. Correct. So that you believe will cover the ones that were not, that will be rebid?
Yes, yes, they will. Again, I think back to the point of, the paper mill coming back and asking, these are the hard lines that we're working, right? So, they know that we're dealing with $2 million on the carriage house. That's it. So now, and even with the parking lot, like it's anticipated that parking lot will come in a little over that $500,000. Well, then that is that lessens the overall pot, which is the $7 million that was authorized.
Does any of this change the report by our CFO that this will fully recoup all the monies invested in the paper mill over the period of time? Does any of this change any of the economics of that?
No, the economics are all the same. It's just
so it doesn't change the $347,000 a year we're going to be collecting from them at an expense of approximately $170,000 debt service.
Again, this doesn't change anything that was previously provided as.
I still don't understand the historical HPC's involvement. They wanted certain things for the carriage house that they've, I don't wanna say demanded, but they requested, and that's part of it.
Yeah, I think in the end, when the paper mill started first discussing their overall capital project and their renovations, we discussed, we brought the HPC into the process so that they could have some review and input into how the paper mill approached this. One of the big items was, actually sort of the biggest item was this historical facade, and wanting to make sure that that was recreated on the campus and that that was preserved and not, put somewhere else or tucked in a corner or anything like that, that it was prominent, that it was a part of the redesign of this campus. And, in actuality, those discussions also led to the paper mill deciding that they were going to preserve the mill sort of facade that exists on the riverside, which was historical and.
It's that postcard, basically.
Yes.
That postcard.
Yes.
The Milburn postcard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-112? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-112?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sakamandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-113? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-113?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sakamandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-114? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-114?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sakamandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-115? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-115?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sakamandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments in regard to resolution 25-116? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-116?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sakamandy,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-118? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25 I'm sorry.
You went a little bit.
Sorry.
I would just, 118 through 121, I would just incorporate my earlier comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-118?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
No.
Mr. Sakamandy,
No.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-119? May I have a motion to approve resolution
Motion.
25-119? May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
No.
Mr. Sakamandy,
No.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-120? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-120?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
No.
Mr. Sakamandy,
No.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Are there any comments from the committee in regard to resolution 25-121? May I have a motion to approve resolution 25-121? May I have a
Motion.
second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
No.
Mr. Sakamandy,
No.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes,
Mayor, just for the record, all the resolutions passed tonight.
thank you. Committeeman Stoller, you are scheduled to sponsor ordinance 2704-25.
This is the procedure for introducing ordinance on first reading, ordinance number 2704-25, ordinance creating a temporary open container area. I moved, do you want to explain it all, or this is for the township town plaza open container law? We had it last year, it was unbelievably successful, and I think we're gonna do it again this year. Any questions? I move that this ordinance be taken up and passed on first reading, and the township clerk be authorized to have the ordinance published in accordance with law in the item and for hearing and final passage on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Please be advised that the public hearing of this ordinance will be held on May 20th at the Milburn Education Center located at 434 Milburn Avenue, Milburn.
May I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen,
yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sacramandi,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Cohen, you are scheduled to sponsor ordinance 2701-25.
I present for consideration an ordinance entitled Ordinance 2701-25, bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of the 2025 road improvement program in, by, and for the Township of Milburn in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,100,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Tonight is the time set for the public hearing and final passage as advertised in accordance with law.
I declare the hearing open.
I move that this public hearing be closed and that the ordinance be adopted on final reading, and that the township clerk be directed to publish the ordinance by title as passed on final reading in accordance with law.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sacramandi,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes. Committeeman Stoll, you are scheduled to sponsor 2702-25.
I present for consideration an ordinance entitled Ordinance 2702-25, temporary closure of Town Hall Plaza between Essex Street and Milburn Avenue pursuant to NJSA 40:67-16.9 in the Township of Milburn, County of Essex, New Jersey. Purpose of this ordinance is to establish a temporary street closure of NJSA 40:67-16.9 on Town Hall Plaza between Milburn Avenue Street for outdoor dining and other permitted uses beginning June 18th, 2025 and ending September 2nd, 2025. Tonight is the time set for the public hearing and final passage as advertised in accordance with law.
I declare the hearing open.
I move that this public hearing be closed and ordinance be adopted on final reading, and the township clerk be directed to publish the ordinance by title as passed on final reading in accordance with law.
May I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Deputy Mayor Cohen.
yes.
Mr. Cosgrove,
Yes.
Mr. Sacramandi,
Yes.
Mr. Stoller,
Affirmative.
Mayor Romano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no new business, old business. New business, historic designation of municipal owned property. Committeeman Sacramandi?
Yeah, so, we have a lot of properties on the historic element of the master plan that have not been designated. So there's quite a backlog that needs to be dealt with. The low hanging fruit would be to start with the municipal owned properties. Because basically we would just need this body to agree, and then we could move forward on that. We have some obvious choices such as Town Hall, it's obviously historic. Taylor Park is another one, the Paper Mill Playhouse. There are some benefits that come along with historic designations, such as potential opportunities for grants for restoration work or various improvements. So it seems like now would be a good time to do these designations. I think additionally, it would help so that when we have projects that affect these areas, it will allow us to get the HPC involved, hopefully earlier in the process, because they may be able to help us find some grants or some opportunities that may help fund some of these projects, at least in part. So, I think we should pursue that. And, to discussion, obviously.
I'll speak up. I support that. I think we should pursue it. I think that the town should be setting an example. One of the things that you might hear when we try to talk to some property the town doesn't own that's on the historic element master plan is, why are you coming after me when you don't designate your own properties? And so this would put an end to that argument. And to the extent that we can get any kind of grants for future work, I think it's a win-win.
Anyone else?
I also support it.
Yeah. Conceptually, I support it. I just want to understand if we're limiting future use and any flexibilities, restrictions on modifications to buildings, if it hinders redevelopment, just understanding what the actual process behind it is. But on the face, it sounds great, but I think we should understand the actual machinations of what happens behind it.
I agree with Committeeman Stoller. I would like to know that also, and like why now, when we have something going on at Taylor Park, something going on at Paper Mill, something going on at Town Hall. It's just,
Why now? Because had you had these in place beforehand, then we may have been able to utilize, potential grants, et cetera. And that would have been beneficial. As far as, what limitations it would impose, if you're gonna try and, change the facade of Town Hall in a drastic way, then there's gonna need to be discussion and some review. But, I don't think that the designation would affect the projects that we have going on right now. I know that when we designated the area near the train station, that didn't affect the Woodland Road project that's going in, it was already approved. So, it sounds like there's at least consensus among three of us to move forward, so.
yeah, I just,
think we should-
again,
we
like
should move
Committeeman
forward.
Stoller said, I just want to know more as the process moves along.
Yeah, I think the consensus is there. We
Yeah.
just need to understand it, can't, just do it blindly. We need to understand all the implications.
Sure, so, I think the next step is to refer this to the HPC and, we can also ask them to help explain the process a little bit.
Well, we don't
That would
want to
be
find
good.
ourselves in a situation like when they were trying to blindly find ourselves in a situation where they're blindly turning 150 residences into historical without any previous education. Let's learn from our lesson, learn a lesson from previous engagements and do it with open book.
I think that's what we're trying to do, and I think we're trying to have the township go through this process so that, we all have a better understanding of it and we're modeling, good behavior. So whatever we need to do, it sounds like there's consensus to move forward. Mr. McDonald, what would be the next step? Do we just officially refer this to the HBC? We need to do a resolution, take a vote?
Yeah, I'll review the ordinance just to make sure we follow the rules.
Okay, you'll have that ready for us for the next meeting? Whatever resolution would be necessary. Thank you.
And regulation on camping or sleeping on public property.
Sure, so it came to my attention recently that Summit passed an ordinance that restricts sleeping in public places. And they did this because they were experiencing a problem with some homeless individuals that had been offered multiple opportunities for help and refused it, and were causing some disturbances. And in light of that, I think we should get ahead of this issue. It's my understanding that, Summit had a program in place to actually help the homeless population that they had, and they took it from 40 down to 5, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's great. Obviously, the best course of action is if you have unhoused individuals, to try and get them some help and house them. So I don't know if we have any mechanism in place, but my concern is now that Summit has this ordinance, we might start to see some of those individuals come over, the bridge or take the train one stop to our town. And therefore, I want us to be prepared with the necessary programs, resources, and then at some point, if it makes sense to do so, maybe we consider a similar ordinance. But I think we need to make sure we have the proper support system in place so that when individuals do come, we are well prepared for that. So I wanted to bring that up and see if we could also maybe get some data on whether we currently have a problem with homelessness in town. I know there's been some ancillary reports here and there, but I don't think we have any hard metrics or data, at least that we've seen. And, I think the first step to understanding this would be to get some of that data, so I just wanted to see if we could get some consensus to start digging into this, finding solutions, engaging the necessary individuals. I think there's a number of nonprofits that may be able to help as well with formulating, resources to provide people with, should that become necessary.
I think their nonprofits are in Summit. I think I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comment or? Does anybody have any comment? No?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts kind of are, I did go back through the police logs and I don't see any, incidents reported in the police logs of, homeless people, et cetera. There's one a couple months ago where someone was urinating in public up at the mall. I'm discounting that one. And I looked also at the ordinances that we do have in town, and I think we have plenty of ordinances that take care of situations where, if there was a homeless person who was becoming a nuisance, blocking traffic, setting tents up in parks or something like that, I think we have, we have the ordinances in place. And I can give cites to people if they want them, but we have the ordinances in place to deal with, that type of disruption. I'm not against, though, asking the police whether there's, incidences that are not in the police logs, right? Maybe they didn't make it, I'm not saying nefariously, I'm just, maybe that's not something they report. I'm not against looking at what public stuff we have to help people, although I think we do have a lot, but I just don't know what it is myself.
Yeah, I would agree that we just need to do the work. We have to understand the issue as it relates to our town. Being that I think I'm the only one up here with a small child in town now, you have to understand the balance safety versus the criminalization of homelessness, et cetera, but we need the data before we can make a decision. And I think that's all you're asking for, is to understand whether this is a problem or not.
Exactly.
And what we can do to help compassionately the people who may be vagabond, homeless, nomads living on the street, et cetera. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think that the timeliness of it is because our neighboring town is now going to start potentially.
Which may cause a migration.
Exactly,
as well.
and so therefore I want to make sure we have the necessary resources available so that should it become a problem, that we have, an ability to help people with that need help, and then for those refusing help, that we have mechanisms to help protect the safety and security of the residents. But, really, I think the primary goal is to make sure we have the resources needed to help individuals. Because that's what Summit did before they enacted their ordinance, and, going from 40 down to 5, that's great. I just want to make sure, if we have all of a sudden an influx of homeless individuals here, that we have the ability to help them as well.
I think certainly it's worth knowing what the issue is, and or to the extent we have one. I also think it's worthwhile to document what resources we do have to make sure that we think they're adequate, and that's something that should be published on the website so that we're not, it's not a secret. Who knows, who can predict the future? I think Summit is different than our town in that they have a train station that's open to the public till the last train that comes in at 1 a.m, whereas our train station shelters are locked. So it's a difference, and I think that was a big source of Summit's homeless population. But certainly we should document what resources and provide help to anyone who needs it if it turns out we have any kind of an issue at all.
I am not in favor of moving forward with a regulation, but I would like to find out if we have an issue with, through the police chief or whatever. So.
There's no harm with getting the data. More
No.
data points help.
No,
You
there's
can't
nothing
fix it
wrong with
unless
that.
you can measure it.
Right,
You
no,
should
there's
measure
nothing
it.
wrong with
Yeah,
that.
we can't even begin to talk about an ordinance unless we understand whether there is or is not a problem. So I think
Right.
we just want to, in light of what's going on next door, let's educate ourselves. And I think, Deputy Mayor Cohen's idea of putting the resources together on the website would be very helpful. I know that there's members of this community that have, helped some homeless people recently. And I think, it would be nice to have some of that information in one place. So, maybe Mr. McDonald, maybe you can follow up with the police, find out, if we actually have a problem or not, and then see if we can start putting those resources together on the website.
And I guess that would come from the town social worker, right?
Yep, health department, social worker,
Yeah.
police department.
Okay.
We'll dig in.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. This public comment period is to allow for final comments from the community. When invited to speak to offer your comments, please come to the lectern. Clearly state your name and whether you are a Milburn resident and/or property or business owner. Please do not provide your full address, seeing our meetings are recorded and readily available to the public. A reminder that in order to help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers shall limit their comments to 1 3-minute session. I will now open public comment.
Good evening, Charles Bambara, 28-year resident, also a member of the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee. I have to say, I worked long and hard, did a lot of calculations to study preventing flooding in downtown Milburn. I came up with a plan that would reduce the probability of flooding in downtown from around 15% currently to a fraction of a percent. That study is what Alex referred to a little bit earlier. There was a $400,000 grant. I thought there was a $100,000 match from Milburn as part of that. So if the bill was $500,000, let's say, to do that study, understand that we have $2.1 million to pave our streets. We have $7 million to renovate the paper mill playhouse. We can have a beautiful playhouse and we can have paved streets. And when downtown floods again, are we going to be proud of ourselves that we made these decisions on where to spend our money? So I just ask you to reevaluate your sense of priorities on where our spending is occurring. Because I would think if there's a way to prevent the devastation from Ida from happening again, that should be a priority, not pushed aside. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jeffrey Feld, poet section. I just have 4 points to cover. Last Thursday, our United States Supreme Court unanimously reaffirmed the importance and the fundamental right of procedural due process. It's because of procedural due process that we had the questions about round 3 affordable housing and whether the public was told before you took certain actions. In light of that, as to the planning board, I hope you can look into why certain approved posted minutes have not been posted and why at the last meeting, there was 2 objectors, letters, and a reply from their expert, and they haven't been posted yet. And it seems that in the High Center, things are not being posted quickly by the planning board. As to the paper mill, I just did a down and dirty analysis of the numbers that Alex gave us, and there's about $1.2 million that still has not been accounted for. And hopefully we can explain where that is going, because these are issues that I raised when we did the original bond ordinance, asking for more specific details how the money is going. And because of affordable housing, the state has a website where it posts various resolutions and things are saved, or you watch various other taps in the other neighborhoods. And I look, Morris Township, which Mr. Cantor also represents, approved a settlement, entered into a settlement with about fair share around round 4. But what's interesting, that led me to look at the reorganization meeting of Morris Township. Every year at their reorganization meeting, they have an annual 1-year contract with the BA. For many of us, Oprah or Alex was originally retained as BA almost 10 years, I don't know, 2016, he had a 3-year contract. When that contract came up, I don't know how he's retained. And it's a question of accountability, like the Board of Education, the superintendent is retained and every year they get a review. I think that's something that we should be looking into because we don't have an elected mayor, how do we, is the BA subject to an annual review or an annual contract? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jay Morielli, Township resident, and I'd like to thank all the committee members for their service to the community. I'd like to commend Committeeman Sacamandi for bringing up the issue of homelessness and services and programs that Summit provides, and very interested to hear what we might provide as well. I think that's great to look forward to, anticipate a potential issue that may come up and start to think in advance on what we could do. So kudos. On the historic designation of township property, if it's not already being considered, I'd like to put the par 3 golf course on the list of properties. It got some, there were some dangerous times a couple of years ago with proposals to remove it. So I think designating it as a historical site would only be good. And finally, I'd like to give a shout out to Chris Meyer and the Park District for the lights they put in and the pickleball courts and the tennis courts. I think they're fantastic. There was a group of us out there Monday night, and we can now play into the evening a little bit. So thank you to the township. Thank you to Chris and everyone involved in that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Jean Pasternak, resident. I'm just standing back and listening tonight. I heard like the townships in the construction management business, the restaurant business, architecture, theater. I mean, aren't we a township here for our residents and what we need? Our businesses, our property owners. I'm sorry to sound negative about it, but it's a lot, it's a lot that you're trying to manage, Alex. And I guess I'm frustrated because I've asked for a couple of years for what we just heard Charlie talk about, which is what are our priorities? I mean, we don't have any kind of roadmap that I have seen that tells us where we're going and why we're spending the money and why we're doing it that way. So I really believe that there's something not quite right here. I heard when we were talking about the paper mill, there was a lot of contention about it that, yep, we got to commit this money to save the restaurants in our downtown, yet we're trying to help build another restaurant or expand it. I'm just confused. 40% of the paper mill budget is for executive compensation. Last year, they had net income of minus $1.3 million. So 29 in expenses and 28 mil in revenue. Yet somehow they raised the artistic director's salary from 380 to 450. So I just feel like we're being a bit taken advantage of here. I'd also like to say that we're in your hands, but this isn't passing the smell test, in my opinion, about paper mill and other things. We have, I think, in the case of the overages on the bids, things like that, like what is going on? Like, why don't we have an advisory committee looking at our long range plan, our budget, our finances? I think there should be a citizens advisory committee helping with this. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask of one person to do all this. And there are lots of really talented people in town that could really help with that. The other thing I asked is how deep a say did HPC have with the paper mill? It sounds like a bit more than town hall from what you were saying, but I think they have a lot of expertise there too. As far as the town hall goes, I looked at some of the, RFQs or RFPs. What were they? RFQs, sorry. There were 10. So how did this architect get selected? Like, what was the criteria for this person to be selected or this architect? And what I understand from watching the meeting, that there was a person that's on the HPC that's actually an expert. She works for the federal government, designing interiors, renovations of buildings, and there were a lot of good suggestions. I thought, this is the kind of stuff that we should be tapping and making sure that we have. My last comment is, in terms of Town Hall Plaza, it's really great that it's happening again, but there's one person that comes to mind, that's Anthony Bracco. Without him standing up for his neighbor and having the courage to say, let's shut down Main Street, we wouldn't have Town Hall Plaza.
Thank
So
you.
is there any way we could give him some recognition?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Stephen Roth, 39-year resident of Short Hills, 31-year volunteer EMT, and president of the Melbourne Short Hills Volunteer First Aid Squad for most of the year since 1999. A recent article discussed our first aid squad in the township administration, and I just want to make sure that the facts are clear about the relationship and the need for funds of the squad by the township. Very simply, town has always been available to us whenever needed. The end. During COVID, floods, fires, other local disasters, township has always been at our side, and I appreciate your ongoing support and commitment to the well-being of our community. Our first aid squad is an independent, not-for-profit organization. We provide free 24/7 emergency medical care to our residents and those in our community. Most of our surrounding towns do not have the same superior service, and I'm proud to be a part of this wonderful organization. You may be aware that there's a significant shortage of EMTs across the United States. In fact, nearly 1/3 of all EMTs quit in 2021, and the industry is struggling to fill those positions. Locally, we're enhancing our community engagement. We're increasing public awareness. We're utilizing local social and news outlets to share valuable information. We're expanding our training programs. We offer CPR classes, which the committee in their Friday messages always announce that to sign up for our CPR classes. We're starting to offer Stop the Bleed classes as well. These training programs not only enhance the community resilience and also serve as a launching point for members of our community to begin their journey as first responder EMTs. These efforts not only address immediate needs, but also lay the groundwork for a more resilient and responsive emergency medical services framework in our township. Where we continue to seek the township's assistance is in fostering community involvement and engagement. This is twofold: raising awareness that during emergencies, it's your friends and neighbors who volunteer to respond and provide first aid. And second, encouraging community members to participate in the training programs and consider volunteering, thereby strengthening our local emergency capabilities. Our needs are not only from the committee, but from our residents who are out there. We need your support. We need your participation to keep us thriving so we can continue to serve our residents with the best emergency medical care possible. We're not asking for superheroes. We're just asking for regular people who will step up to the plate. Thank you.
And congratulations on 30 years.
Hi, everyone. Richard Seibert, resident. Just to add on to what Jean said, I don't know how you go about doing it, but it would be very nice to change the street where the main street, where the summer program takes place on Friday and Saturday nights to Broca Way. So I don't know exactly how you would do that, but I'm sure if you asked residents of the town, they would be for it. I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jerry Kung, resident. I know when there's like potholes in town, you can report them on the SDL portal. If there's a pothole on JFK, which is a county road, do we also report it to the SDL portal? And does that then get escalated to the county? Because
they have their own.
they have their own portal. Okay, perfect. Because JFK Parkway North between the mall and Parsonage Hill is, for lack of a better term, like the surface of Mars. So, you know, I just want to make sure that Milburn is getting prioritized with all of the $50 million of, you know, tax monies that we send to Essex County each year, that, you know, the southwesternmost portion of Essex County, that county road gets paved so that, you know, we don't have to buy a Mars Rover to get home from the mall. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online?
Hey guys, how are you? All right. I'm not in my car anymore. I wanted to just finish up with the comment about Mr. Petto and as it regards to the High Center hearings. You know, I'm very concerned about people's interpretation or characterization of our ordinances in general that are hired consultants. Because, you know, I really think that we need to look at that because mischaracterizing an ordinance or interpreting it is an ordinance is an ordinance and it's very black and white. And I'm specifically referring to buffer zones and also the use of air conditioning equipment and any type of equipment on rooftops. Somehow that's being allowed. And I just, I don't know why we hire consultants that misadvise us. And I needed to point that out because that's happened on numerous occasions in those meetings. So I'm just throwing that out. And then I also wanted to just make a comment. You know, I commend people that, you know, value their viewpoints in terms of this gas blower ban, which it is a ban. It may be partial, but the intent is to have a full ban. And I think what was really disturbing to me tonight was the fact that a landscaper that is in Franklin Lakes area showed up here because they had to cultivate one from almost an hour away. And he actually said that he did business in our township and with the BOE, and that was discredited. And Miss Margulies actually pulled Mr. Brazel's article down off the tap because of that. Unless something's changed, I don't really think that it really makes me upset that a committee would actually present information like that and have a credible witness that's testifying to the greenness of you know, EV equipment. And I can tell you that if you bother to read white papers, it's very much not green, and the noise decibel change is so minimal, and it actually has a higher pitch frequency. And we're basically just trashing somebody else's country with lithium mining, cobalt mining, et cetera, to gain a decibel count. It's so minimal. And I'm also upset that they're now actually managing the bake-off of the equipment, that man is involved in that, who actually presented himself as somebody who does business in our town. And we're going to like trust the credibility of this person to run a scientific experiment. So I'm sorry if I seem frazzled. I just literally pulled off the road and got here. So sorry. Just wanted to make my 2 cents known. And thank you so much. I hope you all have a great evening. Have a nice one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I will close public comment.
May I quickly respond?
Well, that, yeah, with,
I'll keep it.
go ahead.
I'll keep it positive. Just a couple of quick things. Mike Colhut was an invited guest here. He does do business in this town, and he's probably very soon going to be doing a lot more because one of the residents is hosting him to meet with a number of her neighbors who want to work with a green landscaper. So he has genuine ties. The other thing is, Beth said that, you know, we had asked this biased person to run a bake-off or something like that. That is not true. He plans to come here again as a volunteer on Earth Day to show how these things work. That will not be, as I've discussed with Mr. Saccomondi, that will not be the official bake-off or whatever this thing is going to be called. It's just a nice thing that he wanted to do. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now close public comment. Any comments from the committee?
Yes, so just to underscore what Mr. Brazel said, the official bake-off is still being worked on. We figured out, you know, it's complicated because some of the dissenters had very specific pieces of equipment that they wanted to have included in the bake-off, and the EC is going to very extensive lengths to try and find tool vendors that are willing to come participate and, provide the equipment that they were looking for. So once that is formalized, that will be announced and made clear as the official bake-off or blow-off, whatever you want to call it. So please don't misconstrue, the volunteer that's going to be, I think, demonstrating some equipment and talking about how their business has gone green on Earth Day. That has nothing to do with any sort of official bake-off or blow-off. Let's see. Ms. Pasternak, I agree with you that we need to have a long-term strategic plan. We've talked about it here ad nauseum. I believe that some of that's supposed to be addressed in next week's budget presentation. If that is not adequately addressed, then I will see if there's other committee members that are willing to work with me to form a citizens advisory group for long-term strategic planning. Because I agree there needs to be discussion and oversight, and we've been talking about it for too long. It's time for it. So we'll see how next week goes, and then we'll take it from there if need be. I want to thank Mr. Froth for coming out tonight and addressing those concerns. Obviously, when we had heard from as the Township Committee from, I forget, who it was, a resident said that, you guys might be needing of resources. We of course, wanted to help in any way we could. So I really appreciate you coming out and clarifying that you're getting everything you need from the township. And if that ever changes, if there's anything else you need, certainly ask. And I would encourage everyone, members of the public, if you have extra time, if you want to volunteer, becoming an EMT is something that could be very rewarding. And could help a lot of people out. So if you're considering it, please do get in touch with the first aid squad. Because I think they can help facilitate that for sure. With regards to renaming Town Hall Plaza, I don't know if permanently renaming a street is in order, but maybe there's something we can come up with to commemorate or at least dedicate this year's Town Hall Plaza to Mr. Braca. Mr. Braca was absolutely instrumental in the push to keep Main Street open. And it was that push that allowed us to find this alternative location that I think has worked out really in the community's favor, because it allowed individuals that didn't want to, pay to sit at the table of one of the 4 restaurants that benefited from the street closure to actually, come and enjoy the space and participate. There was a variety of programming. It was just an excellent job was done with that last year, and we're looking forward to its continued success this year. But a lot of that would not have been possible if there wasn't such a push by Mr. Braca and other individuals to rethink Main Street closure. So it definitely worked out, and if there's anything we can do to commemorate him, that would be great. But I don't think renaming the street is necessarily the right thing to do. Thanks.
Committeeman Cosgrove?
Nothing, thank you.
Committeeman Stoller?
Sure, I mean, it's just solemn when we talk about Antonio Braca, having pints with him at St. James Gate. He was certainly instrumental in helping, so anything we can do to bring to preserve his memory, it would be great, especially for his wife and 2 girls. And one of his greatest attributes is he understood how to compromise. He was always willing to compromise. So I agree. Back to the leaf blowers. I just want to make sure that the quote bake off, blow off, whatever we're calling it, is that we do have commercial grade battery powered blowers versus included in that bake off. And it was nice for you to bring someone, a landscaper, who gave his opinion. I appreciate that a lot. Mr. Kung on the SDL. We should actually, do we have a link to Essex County's SDL on our website?
I'm not sure, but
let's
I
make
was
sure,
thinking about that
yeah,
too,
let's
yeah.
make sure it's there, because I think that's good, especially, living on Wyoming or any of these streets, and those potholes cause massive damage. We just had $1,500 damage to my wife's car hitting a pothole. It's crazy. Mr. Roth, you're always welcome. Great to see you. Thank you for the service you provide our town for seemed like forever. So thank you. One thing back to Mr. Kung too is I'm glad you brought that up about how much money we pay Essex County. The mayor, I sit up here and harp about it, was kind enough to set up an appointment with the executives in Essex County for me to go over on Monday and discuss some open projects, some future projects. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So maybe we should be a little squeaky here, and we should work with them hand in hand to make sure that they know that we exist instead of just cashing the check year after year after year. And thank you to the mayor for setting that up. I appreciate it. And hopefully you're going with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And then Ms. Pasternak, seems like you're very, very confused. I'm happy to sit down with you and go through and re-communicate some of the things from the paper mill. Last thing I want you to do is be confused about what's happening with the paper mill. So happy to do that at any time. And then last thing is Charles Bambera on the flood mitigation. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm on this flood mitigation committee, and we're got a front row seat to what's going on. The town really, the severe damage from Ida, Irene, and other large rainstorms, can knock everything down quickly or negate a lot of expenses. So I agree, paying attention with good, solid communication and analysis of what needs to be done for flood mitigation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I just point out, I know that in New York, and I think in Livingston as well, I've seen where they have an unofficial naming of a street, so it would still be Town Hall Plaza, but then there would be a sign underneath it in the same style and font that could call it Brocka Way, and we could have a little ceremony or something with his family to do that. I think that would be a nice thing to do. And then lastly, I also want to commend Mr. Roth and the whole squad for everything that they do. I'll speak up for the. Fortunately, I haven't needed anybody as a need to provide EMT services, but I did take the CPR class and it was excellent. And I encourage everybody to do that as well. So thank you for you and for all what the team does.
Yes, I'll echo the same thing. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here tonight. And again, congratulations on your 31st year. As far as potholes on county roads, I did have a resident reach out to me a couple Saturday mornings ago. Her tire, she hit a pothole on Old Short Hills Road and South Orange Avenue. There is a portal on the county website to report it, and you can also file a claim for damage, believe it or not. So we could definitely add that somewhere on our website, since we do have a lot of surrounding county roads.
Keeping all the local repair shops in business. It's crazy.
Do you want to?
No, I have no response unless the committee has any questions for me.
Deal? No. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So.
You have a second? All right.